Okay, we are now technically recording to the crowd. I know it says that I am Brittany Ramsey. I am not, but that's how I was told to log in so that I could do the stuff I need to do. My name is Maggie Katz. I am your presenter for this, and I'm going to share the screen in a second. Thanks to those of you who have enabled your video. It's wonderful to see your bright shining faces. I appreciate if those of you who have not yet done so are willing to, that would be awesome. I promise not to make fun of anybody. Well, actually that's not true. I might, but it won't be based on how you look because you're all gorgeous. I am going to share my screen, which unfortunately means I will not be in a position to catch everything that goes into the chat. So if there's something that people want to say during this session, I strongly encourage you to let me know. Throw up a reaction, or if you need, just unmute and let me know. I want to be as informal as possible. I will also let you know that we are recording this to the cloud, which means that it will be available. So if you missed anything or want to review anything, that option is available. There is a PowerPoint. I will try not to make it death by PowerPoint. I will let you know that I'm making one really extraordinarily bold assumption, and that is that y'all know how to read. So I don't mean to be too presumptuous, but I am not going to read every word on every slide. If you want me to spend more time on something, then I am absolutely, again, throw up a reaction or just unmute and let me know. But like I said, assuming y'all can read. So I am going to share my screen, pull up the PowerPoint, and get us started now, unless there are any, right now I have the chat up, so if there's any questions before we get started, I will see them. Nope. Okay. Let's see. Share screen. There's my PowerPoint. Can people see? And I can't see you, so I won't know if anybody can see.
Doesn't look like the PowerPoint showing up.
Okay, I didn't think so. That let me try again with it. There we go, share screen. This time, I think it worked. Okay, does that?
Yeah, we got it now.
Okay, awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you. Sorry, I'm old. Technology is tough for me. Thank you for understanding. I appreciate it. Okay, I'm gonna get us started at this point. My name is Maggie Katz. I'm an advisor at the Gamma Pi chapter at the University of Michigan. For those of you from Ohio, I won't hate you if you won't hate me. I know we're supposed to. But you know what? I got too many friends in Ohio, and not to mention, brothers. In addition to my current roles as advisor, chair of their advisory board, I've also done a few other things in Alpha Phi Omega, including the opportunity to serve on the national board for a while. So very pleased to be able to present here. Because we are closely located, have spent lots of time with the Ohio chapters. Kentucky is kind of my second home. They've been wonderful in adopting me as sort of one of their own. And Indiana used to be part of my region back in the old days. So I feel very close to all of you guys. And appreciate the chance to be here. Okay, getting into the actual meat of the presentation. 501c3, not sure if any of you have ever heard that and know what that means. It is what the government considers us, our IRS designation. What's relevant is it's the exact same designation your college or university has. your local hospitals, groups like I'm sorry if you're hearing something in the background, my cats are being active. Something is the American Cancer Society is a 501c3. Other Greek letter organizations are not, and that doesn't mean we're better than they are, it just means we're different. So for example, I'm in a social sorority as well as APO. If I give a donation to the chapter, it's not tax deductible. They do have a foundation that I can. Whereas if I give money to an Alpha Phi Omega chapter or the national organization, it can be written off. Now, I'm going to guess that most of y'all don't itemize because you probably don't own your own houses and all that stuff. But it is particularly relevant when you are dealing with, if you get your parents, for example, to make a donation, subtle hint. But also if other organizations are looking at partnering with us, they're going to want to know that we're a 501c3. And if they're nonprofit as well, it's not like they're likely to give us money and take the deduction because they don't need it because they're tax exempt as well. But it is, it makes them look better because, you know, when you get those commercials on television for some corporation who talks about supporting some charity, we are such an organization. They would get the same sort of positive vibes and reputation stuff from supporting us. So the fact that we are 501c3 is relevant. Okay, why should somebody network? I like to, I would hope that this is fairly duh, but it may not be. So I put it on there because I had to put on enough slides to, you know, make it look like I was actually doing something. Basically, again, it's there. The one that I find everyone you know is somebody you can network with, and you know, having contacts with more people is better than contacts with less people. It's that simple, and getting the word out there as to who you are. Alpha Phi Omega is unfortunately a very well kept secret. Not a lot of people know who we are, not as many as should. And just getting the word out, we're here, we exist. Every time I talk to somebody about APO, they're like, wow, that's cool. A bunch of college kids who are out there changing the world, making things better. That is rockin' cool. Not enough people know about it. And so let's get that. That kind of is the basic of why to network, in my opinion. A few more reasons is the more people you can bring in, the more, you know, skills, the more resources you have. And Alpha Phi Omega is, among other things, you may have heard about leadership. It's one of those 3 cardinal principle thingies. And really what a leader's job is to do is primarily to provide resources. It's not to do everything, it's to make sure everything gets done. And the best way to do that is, sorry, I just saw that there are people in the waiting room and I need to let them in. There we go. Admit all. Okay, thank you for your patience with me as I figure this stuff out. The best way to do that is make sure they have what they need to accomplish what you want them to. That can be enough people, it can be clarity with the goals, it can be money, whatever the resources are, skills. Gee, it'd be really nice. I remember putting together a bridge for a service project decades ago. Thank God we had some engineers, because we'd have been, I have a degree in political science, pretty useless. And yet I was valuable because the engineers were so busy doing the, you know, measure twice, cut once, although they were measuring 87 times. And finally, I literally had to jump in the water and pull the telephone pole that was going to be the base of our bridge across the water because the engineers were too damn busy measuring. So you need it. So a good leader does things like make sure, yeah, they're engineers, but there's a poli-sci idiot as well, so that we could get everything done. But that's what a leader does, is resources. So that's why I'm pounding on that one, is making sure you've got everything that you need. Plus, I'm a big fan of perspective, because while I'm pretty confident I know everything, well, everything relevant, there might hypothetically be something somewhere I don't yet know. I know it boggles the mind, but I want to make sure that I have people with different perspectives, because that's how I learn. And so more people, other organizations involved, the better the opportunity is for me to learn something. And Lord knows we should all always be about learning, but especially, you guys are in college, you know that, right? And the point, I love that you guys are nodding. You are so sweet. It's like, yeah, moron. Of course we know that. You're all about learning. That is your job, is to learn. So now, I mean, we should all always be, but now more than ever, it's all about, and how do you learn? You bring more people with more perspectives and more experience into the mix. And that's it. I know that's pretty obvious, but I want to make sure nobody forgets that. So, plus when you interact with more people, they see how incredibly cool you are, and they want to join you. So it helps to recruit. And when I say value of your membership, the more people know what Alpha Phi Omega is and are impressed by it, the more likely they are when you say, I'm a member of Alpha Phi Omega, to go, oh, that's awesome. That's wonderful. You want to get that. If they're like, yeah, what does that mean? Who cares? It doesn't diminish the value of your membership, but it doesn't enhance it in the way that it could and should. And of course, very selfishly, I'm extraordinarily proud to be Alpha Phi Omega. This past fall, I celebrated, ready for this, 40 years in Alpha Phi Omega, because I'm old as bejesus. So I want to make sure that the value of membership, for me, after 40 years, I'd hate to think I wasted my time. I want to make sure that the value of your membership continues to be high, and you continue to be proud to be APO. So, okay, I'll get off that soapbox, but only for a while. Okay, there we go. Synergy. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And it's great. APO is all about, doing as much as you can. Even when you get a bunch of individuals who do something and then you sort of add them together, it's not the same as true synergy where everybody's working together and building on each other. That's cool. That's one of the neatest things about APO, because we can all do service a million different ways. I'm going to guess that most of you, if not all of you, probably did service before you joined APO. It's probably one of the things that got you thinking, hey, I want to do this, which is incredibly awesome. So, but you can volunteer at your local hospital, any other nonprofit, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when you combine your efforts, when you all get together and are doing stuff, you can accomplish so much more and have so much more fun in the process. So I want to see people taking advantage of the synergy. It's why I don't just, volunteer and not tell anybody. Frankly, I want the whole world to know, be impressed. Maybe not, but gives me the opportunity to have more impact. And that's why ever you joined Alpha Phi Omega, part of it is you wanted to have impact. And that is a good thing. Okay, we talked about why you should network. Let's get into some of the reasons why I'm assuming you're here. Is how do you do it? Like anything, it's know what you bring. It's nice to be able to, I'm going to say sell yourself. That may come off wrong. Some people are like, oh, I don't want to sell myself. I don't mean as in a massive marketing campaign, but and walking around going, why, yes, I am the greatest thing since sliced bread. That you don't need to do. However, there's nothing wrong with saying, you know what? The chapter at the University of Michigan, as part of their blood drive, which is the biggest thing that they do, runs the single largest blood collection in the state of Michigan. We are so proud of that. Now, did I sound like a jerk saying that? Or was that okay? I mean, again, it wasn't the, hey, be impressed with me. It was, let me tell you something that we think is really cool. And if you join APO, that's the kind of thing you can be part of. Be authentic, be sincere about it, share. It's not really bragging if you can do it. And it's how you're presented and sort of why you're telling people about it. It's not about, hey, look at me. It's, although you know what? It's okay if occasionally it is, hey, look at me, because there's nothing wrong with being proud of it and sharing it out there. We are taught that that's bragging and that's bad. And especially as women, we're supposed to be like, oh, gee, well, thank you for being impressed, but really I couldn't have done it without a bunch of other people. And all that can be true. And it's great to give credit to other folks, but the idea of diminishing yourself, you know what? Maddie, you are fantastic. And everyone in the world should know that you are fantastic. Absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with saying, as long as you're not a jerk about it, which I know you're not, because we go back, minutes. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing to get it out there and be proud. Confident people, Manny, be confident. You are outstanding. And I think you should let the world know how outstanding you are. That is just a good thing. So, and it's nice to tell people why you're outstanding, because I do this, I'm involved with that, I'm really excited about that, I lead this committee. You know what? Throw it out there. That is outstanding. And it's great when people know what they bring to the table. No one on this call is a loser. I know this because I know everything, as we've discussed before. So get out there, tell folks what they can expect from you and how you are wonderful. That is a wonderful thing. One of the things that I like, I am highlighting a lot of stuff on this screen because this one is kind of big. Being an active listener. Somebody I was at a session, actually, I think it was like 2 weekends ago, and they said that you're supposed to speak not to impress or even persuade, but just to, when you're listening, you should be there not to figure out what you're going to say to impress them next, but really listen and to learn. And I'm like, you know what? It's obvious, but it's not, because we don't think of it. We're too busy thinking, oh, what am I going to say next? How am I going to impress them with my thing there? And I'm not saying sharing your stuff isn't good. It is. You know what? I understand what you're saying because I've had a similar experience. That is entirely appropriate. But missing everything that they have said because you were so busy trying to one-up them or come up with your part of the conversation. Does it make sense how that's different? So you want to be an active listener. You want to, and the phrasing that I like is seek to understand and be understood, because so much it's talking about persuasion. When you're talking about persuasion, if I say, let me tell you why I'm right, even though I didn't say it, y'all heard the implied and therefore why you're wrong, right? You heard it. I didn't say it, but you knew it was there. And that's not what I mean to say. What I really want to say is, help me understand where you're coming from, because that's how I learn. And if you're willing, when we're done with that, let me tell you where I'm coming from so you understand me. Not that I'm trying to convince you you're wrong. That's not what it's about. I want to deepen understanding. It's a lot less obnoxious, isn't it? And you probably haven't totally tuned me out such that we can't actually have a conversation. So we've still left the door open and to an actual relationship, an actual give and take. And that's, to me, what's fun. That is critical to networking. Understanding is, the key word there. So, and then the whole respect issue, that last point, I will tell you, I am a lot older than each and every one of you Alicia, I hope I pronounced that correctly. I got to tell you, I'm seeing that lovely picture. I'm a lot older than you. I am too. I am pushing 3 times older than you. Kachi, is that also, did I pronounce that okay? Want to be good with
Yes,
people's
you did. Yes, you did.
Okay, good. You know, again, you are, you know, a young, beautiful person. I am so much older than you. It is not even funny. I have t-shirts older than all y'all. I absolutely guarantee. They're not good t-shirts, but they're t-shirts. So there is absolutely no question I know more than each and every one of you because I'm old. But let me be very clear. There's a lot of stuff you know that I do not know. For example, we saw at the beginning as I tried to get the Zoom stuff, it was not impressive. I am sure each and every one of you, Deirdre, Carlin, I am sure you all know a heck of a lot more about this stuff than I do. And who is to say that what I know has any more value than what you know? The fact is, yes, I know more, but it's not necessarily more valuable. We all bring something to the party. I guarantee that each and every one of you bring a lot of really valuable stuff. And the one thing that I will give myself credit for is I am smart enough to know that you know stuff that I don't, and I can learn from you. And that is why I enjoy doing things, presenting, whatever, so darn much, because I learn. And I learn from all of you. I know I'm cast in the role of the instructor here, but I learn from you. And because I know I can learn from you, I have a lot of respect for you. And I'm going to let you in on a secret. I want your respect. I know I've got these titles that are whatever. I'm here in the front of the, you know, so there's sort of an implied, no, I need to earn your respect. If what I'm saying makes sense and I'm conducting myself well, then I should earn your respect. But I don't expect it just because I'm old, just because I have a title or had a title, just because I want to make it clear I'm wearing a grown-up shirt. You'll notice this, it's not like a t-shirt. I will confess I'm wearing shorts, not hard pants. Not that I disrespect you, but you know, when I'm sitting down, nobody cares. I love I'm getting applause for wearing, I'm not sure if it's for wearing the shirt or the shorts. I don't care. Either way, I'm taking it. But the fact of the matter is, I feel like I have to earn your respect, and I want to. And what's one of the tricks that I've learned? The best way to earn your respect is to show you respect in return, because that matters. And that impacts each and every one of us. So I'm going to always recognize that I have a lot to learn, and I'm going to try and take advantage of that to help myself earn your respect. So, okay, I think I have beaten that dead horse sufficiently, but I think it's a really important point. So thank you. And by the way, I gotta say, I appreciate those of you who are showing me, like, are not just using an avatar or something or a picture, and yet points to Noah for the sideways picture. I find that very entertaining. So thank you all. See, I am paying some attention. All right, a few more networking tips. Most of these are pretty obvious. I'm just going to give you a second to read them, but the most important one is the middle one, the setting a good dynamic. Because the fact of the matter is, too often in life we set an adversarial, like when we were talking before about persuasion. It's kind of the I'm right and therefore you're wrong. So we're setting up the dynamic. Now, I want to set up a positive one that says you can be right and so can I, or at least aspects. I get how you see it that way. I have a slightly different take on it, but here's how they can be compatible. If you take that attitude, people are still working together. What you're striving for is a win-win situation. Real quick example. I'm retired now, yay! But I spent my entire career as a professional. Thank you, Manny, I appreciate that. Excellent. I have embraced my lazy, and I'm good at it. But I was a professional fundraiser for like 35 years. So asking people for money. And it would never, even silly things like if we do it over food, which we're fundraisers, we do, it's the only way we get to eat. I would not sit across from somebody because that sets up a me against you. If it's a square table, I would sit perpendicular to them, because that way we're at the same side. It's not like I'm on one side and you and your money on the other and I'm trying to win your money. That's not the dynamic that I want. Even though I'm a fundraiser, you know damn well, darn well why I'm there. It's to get your money. You knew that. What I would do is try and set up the let's sit sort of perpendicular to each other. And we would talk about the problem, the enemy, if you will, was hunger or homelessness or cancer or whatever cause I was there to represent. And let me tell you what we're doing to fight this cause, in favor of this cause. And let me tell you how, if you decide, if this matters to you and you want to support it, here's how you can do it. So we're working together. We're on the same team fighting a different enemy, an enemy that we can both agree needs to be vanquished: hunger, homelessness, health issues, whatever. So if you are interested and decide you want to help with it, with, among other things, potentially your money, then it's a win-win. I won, but so did you. And when I was done asking for money, if they didn't say thank you and mean it, I hadn't done my job right. Because what I'm doing is I'm not begging for money. I am giving you an opportunity to do something that's going to make you feel good. And I realize that I'm going to guess that most of you on this call, I may be wrong, but Ellen, you probably can't write, a $5,000 check just to support a cause you want. You might want to, but probably at this point, that's not on the table. That takes a little bit of time and y'all are college students. So, okay, Katya, you're looking forward to the day when you can write that check. I know, I feel the same way, but you can't quite yet. But think about it, Deirdre, when you walk by like the kettle from the Salvation Army, do you ever throw a quarter in there? And is that sound not kind of a little satisfying? It's kind of cool, like, ooh, all that, the metal on metal. That sounds kind of cool. I like that. We all feel good when we get to do that. So that's what I always try to tap into, is what's going to make you feel good. And even if it's a quarter in the kettle, you're feeling good about it. That is outstanding. Oh, okay. Now you're up right now. I'm very confused, but that's okay. I like it.
Sorry, that was my picture.
No, oh, I know, but that's, I appreciate that it's actually you now. Thank you very
Sorry,
much.
I
No,
had to
no,
take
no need
care
to
of a
be
few
sorry.
things.
I respect it. I'm just giving you a hard time because, well, that's the kind of jerk I am.
That's fine, I get it. That's totally
Oh.
respectable.
Excellent. So basically, again, the biggest point on this slide is go for the win-win. Go for the where everybody walks out saying, thank you, this was a great experience. And that is in all terms, that I use it mainly in terms of fundraising, but in terms of networking, any relationship with any person. And this, by the way, certainly relevant to this topic, but I would say this is one of my, what I consider life lessons. If you can apply this to just life in general, it's going to make it a lot more pleasant for you and for the people you're interacting with. And then the last one, it sounds really sort of silly, like, are we in kindergarten? But say please, say thank you. Too often people don't. And I would say that if the person you're asking to do something has no choice but to do it, like when I supervised people, when I said, I need you to do whatever, they kind of had no choice. I'm paying their dang salary. The need for please and thank you doesn't go down, it actually increases. Would you do me a favor? Not even a favor. I mean, you could just say, please do whatever, if you could. Thank you. Appreciate it. What did that hurt? Did it take away from my power or whatever? No. If anything, it enhances it. And power is not what it's all about. Say please, say thank you. It's just nice. Our mommies and daddies taught us that. they were right. You don't have to admit everything that they were right about, because it's a lot, but they were right on that one. All right, community partners, how do you find some? Most of this stuff I think is pretty self-evident, and yet it's nice to have the reminder. There's this, the average membership is what, 3 semesters in Alpha Phi Omega, and we tend to forget, and I wasn't an officer last year, so I don't even know what the heck they were doing. Who have we partnered with in the past? Ask some old people. That's why we have advisors. That's why I'm there. I know a lot of this stuff. Look in the record books. There should be some records somewhere, in an office, hard copy, online, in a cloud, all kinds of places. Figure out who we used to play nice with. They may have a memory, they may not. It doesn't matter. You can let them know, hey, we used to do this. We have some projects at my home chapter that we've been doing since the 1980s, before any of y'all were born. And I actually was around then. I remember some of them. There's some that predate me. I know there's stuff in the world older than I am. I was shocked too. The fact of the matter is, there are records, and if you let them know, we used to work together doing this. Can we work together now? You've got our national partners. Obviously, I think we all know scouting. We hear about it in the ceremonies. But we also have a partnership with the American Cancer Society. Nationally, you can get information on the virtual service guide. And one of the things I always like to push is check out apo.org. It is a pretty good resource. And especially with all the changes, I'm not sure if anyone was aware, there's this thing called a pandemic that's going on, which has impacted us just a little teeny tiny bit. There are all kinds of stuff, guides, etc., that the national office staff and volunteers have put together and have put on the apo.org website. Ideas for virtual service projects, partners who we have and who we have had, and ideas and things that other chapters are doing. Use it, take advantage of it, give it a check. There's a lot of stuff that you can learn from that. Folks affiliated with your school, just a little bit of a hint. We're basically guests on the campuses where we have chapters, and we are there because they let us be there. And we want to play nice with them. If they have formed a relationship with XYZ organization and you go in and play nice with XYZ organization, that makes you look good. Plus, you have a certain amount of confidence. The odds of them having vetted XYZ Corporation up, down, and all around so that they're smart, they're safe, they're going to make you look good. That stuff matters, because that is something that is really important, who you play with. And of course, where you have contacts. What's a contact? Anybody you know. If you work somewhere, even if you're a file clerk, I mean, you don't have to be the CEO, you still have an in there and can get them in there. And I don't mean that to be insulting. Y'all are smart. I'm sure you do some major things that put you much higher than the file clerk level. But even if that's what you're doing, there's not a darn thing wrong with that. And that's still a contact. Where do your parents work? Where do they volunteer? Where do your advisors know people? I said 35 years in the nonprofit sector. My chapters can come to me and say, hey, can you help us get in with? The answer is yes. I've spent 35 years in Southeast Michigan doing fundraising. I know plus or minus everybody. And believe it or not, as shy and retiring as I am, a lot of people know me. Some of them even like me. So I'm a contact. I'm a contact for each and every one of you now. Maggie Katz at hotmail.com. That is my email. And any one of you guys get a hold of me and say, I could use help with, I'm your contact. Absolutely. Go to the APO website. There's a ton of people. I probably do have a maggie.katz@apo.org email but maggiekatz@hotmail.com. It's been mine for 1,000 years, and I'm not getting rid of it as long as Hotmail is still supported. Okay, it's better than AOL. Don't judge me. All right. So anyway, those are where, and then more of those. So that's sort of who. How do you get in with contacts or with community partners potential? Ask. Again, it's funny, fundraising, again, my frame of reference. You'd be amazed at how many gifts do not get made because nobody asks. They talk about how wonderful their organization is and all those things, and at the end, they don't do the how can you be involved, the call to action. It is so common because people aren't real comfortable, whatever. You know what? Be comfortable. It's something that excites you, that you're interested in. Ask them. Is there anything that we could do to work with you? And especially, you're not asking them for money. I mean, I have that philosophy with just money. If you're, and I know that's tough for people, but especially, you know, how can we help you? Is there a way that we can help you? Here's how you can help us. And when I say treat it like an interview, I just mean don't sort of show up rolled up out of bed, you know, hair looking all whatever. I'm not saying you have to have your interview suit and whatever. Just show you take them seriously. Back to that whole respect thing. Be, you know, figure out if you can in advance what you want from them. It's okay to go in with some, how can we help you? But have at least a few ideas. You know, is this, do you need volunteers? We can provide volunteers. We don't have a lot of money, we're APO, but we can provide manpower. That's what we are really good at doing. Providing a quid pro quo, by which I mean, like we used to do at one, for one organization I was involved with, we would do a plant sale for them. And we didn't pick the local flower shop. They already had access to the students. We picked a greenhouse that was, you know, a half hour away, which is too far for college students usually to get to it. We gave them access to the campus. They couldn't get on campus, but we were a student organization, so we could give them access to the campus. And they sold a whole lot of plants using us. So we gave them the access. We also helped with the publicity because while they would have to pay for it, there's a lot of things on college campuses that are free, and we gave them access to it. So think about what you bring to the party. Think about what they can bring to you and what you want. And so be clear in asking about it. Just, and it's always nice when you have stuff in writing. And back in the old days, that was tough because you'd have to pay, get it typeset. Nowadays, there's these things called word processors. And so you can put together professional looking stuff, which depending on what your career ends up being, can also be added to your portfolio. See, always got to be multitasking, thinking of these things. And if you can market well, I don't care what line of work you're in, it's never bad. But even if you are in something that lends itself well, like marketing, great. But if you're an engineer who can market, bonus. That's some good stuff. Okay. The whole fear thing. Again, this in part started out as my fundraising workshop. I've just adapted it. But I thought this was really relevant because I get the, oh, I could never do what you do, Maggie, begging for money. I never begged for money. I was proud to be a fundraiser. Again, I was giving you the opportunity to do something that's going to make you feel good and make the world better. How is that not something to be incredibly proud of? When you're talking about marketing Alpha Phi Omega to potential community partners, I need to see some nods because I'll be very disappointed if the answer is no on this. Are you guys proud to be Alpha Phi Omega? Okay. That was rigged. I knew that was going to be the answer because you're here, you're at a conference, you're obviously engaged, and that's fantastic. So Alpha Phi Omega is something you're proud of. You kind of like talking about it. Is there anybody in your life who doesn't know more about APO than they ever wanted to because you just sort of chat about it? Absolutely, for me, I got nieces who are, you know, just out of college and they can like recite, you know, chapter and verse about Alpha Phi Omega. Everybody who's ever met me pretty much knows about APO, because I'm proud of it and I like talking about it. So if I am reaching out to potential partners, essentially what I'm doing is taking something I love to talk about. We know just from this session, I do love the sound of my own voice, obviously. I get the chance to talk about something that I think is wicked cool. And in the process, try to sell them something that is going to make them look good, especially if it's a community partner. If they're a nonprofit, they already get that sort of halo effect of, ooh, we do good work. What if it's a corporation that wants to associate with us because it's going to make them look better than maybe they do? That's a great thing. That's part of what we bring to the party. And as the last sentence says, it's how you approach it. You often in life don't have control over what happens to you, but how you react to it, you have almost complete control. So I'm a control freak. Control what you can, which is how I approach any task. If I approach selling Alpha Phi Omega as what a great opportunity to give people the chance to be involved in something that I think is amazing and has changed my life in ways I cannot even express, 40 years later, that's a great thing. That's how I approach it. So no, I'm not afraid in any way about how sort of my relationship with APO is going to affect my relationship with other people. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. There are some things to be cautious about. And like what I was saying before about the university, they've probably done a pretty good job of vetting any organization that they work with. Good. You need to vet organizations. And just because somebody gives you a reference, don't assume that means they must be okay, because some of them give references knowing full well you're never going to bother to check them. Bother to check them, please. And if you ever do work with an organization and it doesn't work out as well as you want, you think that they were a little shady or something, please let somebody know. Let the college campus know, so that if somebody goes to them and says, do we have anybody who's worked with XYY? Because we decided that XYZ is a good group. XYY, not so great. So have we, has anybody worked with them? Okay, great. We did, and there were some problems. You need to know, so the next time somebody asks, you can warn them, because we don't want anybody to, have a problem. And make sure there's some great, we talk about like working with other organizations. I'm not saying bars are bad, but college students pairing up with bars, it just has an inherent concern. Do you really, is that what you want to, if you then want to go work with a church, how happy are they going to be if they know that your main partnership for your fundraiser is with a bar? They may not care, but they may. So just be aware of who you're working with, how it's going to be perceived. Those things matter. There's a lot of free stuff and on campus, and I like to mention, when you're looking at potential partners, again, know that anybody off campus, anybody is a contact. You know who your money supports, what bookstores, what restaurants. So if you're looking for free stuff off campus, check them out. And when we talk about in-kind gifts, I can go to a group and say, I'd love money so that we can feed our people. Odds of me getting it aren't strong. But Domino's Pizza, your campus has a Domino's. You may not like it, but they're there. You were going to use the money for food anyway. Domino's is not likely to give you $100, but they are very likely to give you some free pizza. You've had those before. It may cost $10 for a pizza. Is there a chance they spent more than $2 on it? Come on, you've eaten that before. Let's be real. So they can give you $100 worth of pizza. It costs them $20 max. They still get to write off $100 because that's what they could sell it for. And remember, we're a 501c3. They get to write it off on their taxes. And we don't care. We were going to spend the money on pizza. So if we don't spend $100, but we get $100 worth of pizza, any skin off our nose? Heck no. So that's what's called an in-kind gift. And those are much more likely to be received than cash. So when you're looking at what you want from a partnership, think about stuff like that. Okay, some free stuff on campus. There's a lot of these things that you can reference, or that you can request that they will give you. So take advantage of free stuff. Okay, publicity. It's kind of self-evident, but again, I like a reminder. Get your name out there. These are some of the things that you benefit from. And here's some techniques. And I realize a lot of them are old school ones. I shouldn't admit this, but I just added social media for this one. I realized I didn't have it on that. How old fashioned am I? But that's one of the best. And again, inexpensive, like free usually. These other things back in the day, flyers, brochures, cost money to get printed. Nowadays, you run them off on your printer, and they're nice and free. Things like chalking sidewalks. It's not great when it rains, but hey. So just recognize that there are a lot of things, and most of them cost little or nothing. Resources from alumni. Again, I took this from my workshop on fundraising. So the main thing we ask them for is money. But again, if you're asking them for, contacts, for professional expertise, they can be community partners as well. The only thing that I say is, as a fundraiser, I never want to say, hi, it's nice to meet your wallet. You want to look somebody in the eye and actually establish a relationship before you ask for money. And so these are some things, invitations to events, newsletters, etc., are ways to establish a relationship. And a tip from fundraising, the ask for advice. There's a saying in fundraising: ask people for money, you get advice. Ask them for advice, you get money. So, because people want to feel like, again, you want me and what I know, not necessarily just my wallet. So these are some things that, kind of keep in mind that can be helpful. And again, since networking and forming partnerships is all about relationships, and relationships are all about communication, you want to talk to them and establish look them in the eye and establish a relationship. And even though that's hard to do, I'm used to doing these seminars in a room where I can look you all in the eye. You don't know this, but I am looking each and every one of you. I am scrolling through the little pictures of you, looking you all in the eye. I understand that you can't tell that, but I am. But you may have noticed at one point or another, maybe not everybody, I tried to reference a name at least once or twice for each of you, talking to you. That is my way. It's the equivalent of looking you in the eye, trying to make some sort of connection. And that's it you want, and some level of communication, that's important. So that's just a little tip for communicating over Zoom, which is not as interactive as we want, but it is what it is. Just some ideas for fundraising that I throw out there, just because I thought might be a little bit of value added. Again, y'all can read. And then just to sort of wrap this all up, it's okay to ask, you gotta ask, do it nicely, obviously. Have you guys heard about an elevator speech when you talk about Alpha Phi Omega? I'm sure you have it, or your go-to stories, whatever. Those are the things that are the most passionate. You don't want it to sound like it's so rehearsed that you're just pulling it out, at a rote, but make it something that really you care about, that matters to you, and then feel free to talk about it, and be enthusiastic, because you are. It's Alpha Phi Omega, for crying out loud. How can you not be enthused? Again, taking advantage of the stuff, but probably the most important point on that one is have fun. I don't know if you know this in APO, you're volunteers. We ain't paying you for this. So you better have fun. But I'll tell you, even the stuff they pay you to do, if you're not having fun, it's not going to be sustainable. So you want to make sure you're having fun with it. And if you're not, I got to ask you, why'd you join and why you're staying? So I know I'm preaching to the choir, just make sure you continue that. Don't lose track of the fun, I guess, is the message there. It is fun. 40 years later, I'm having a blast. So, and hopefully it shows. Hopefully it sounds in my voice, my facial expressions, whatever. It sounds like I love this. And if I am enthusiastic about it, you're more likely to be enthusiastic about it. So keep that stuff in mind. And that is the presentation. So there's just about 5 minutes before the next one starts. I apologize. I didn't really leave time for questions, but I am going to leave you at least enough time to get to the next session. So thank you so much for participating, and you know, some of you even laughed at some of my attempts at jokes, and I appreciate it. And the facial expressions were nice interaction. You guys more than lived up to your end of the bargain, which is making me feel like somebody was actually listening. So I appreciate it. I appreciate you. I look forward to seeing you at more of the sessions, because I'm going to be sticking around for a lot of it, because this is how I learn too. Thank you, and have a great day, great weekend, great lives, and thank you for being Alpha Phi Omega. Good decision.
Thank you so much. It was really, really nice to meet you, and hopefully we can, you know, connect more in the future. And this is really nice. A really good presentation for sure.
Well, thank you, Katz. That was very sweet of you. I appreciate it. Deirdre applauding. Aw, you guys are making me feel loved, and I do appreciate it. And good on you for participating in this. So look forward to seeing you in person, if not possibly even Phoenix, because I'll definitely be there. I hope to see you there. All right, I better get out of here so the next presenter can get in.